Welcome to the Creepy Kingdom. We are all about the creepy side, theme parks, films, haunts, and everything in between. We create original films, live streams, vlogs, podcasts, and more. Hit that subscribe button to make sure that you always keep it creepy.
Now it is time to open up the gates. Creepy Kingdom proudly presents the Dark Theme Park Show.
Hey, what's up? It's James. I'm here at Not Scary Farm. Josh is here too.
Yo!
And we're about to watch the show Music Monsters Mayhem. I almost forgot the name, but
It's up. The name's right there.
it is right there. Music Monsters of Mayhem. But we're actually gonna introduce this episode of the Dark Theme Park Show,
Oh,
where we are gonna tell you all about Halloween time at Disneyland, which is just a little bit down the street from here.
it's true.
What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's hop to that. Greetings and welcome to the Dark Theme Park Show, Creepy Kingdoms podcast, all about the creepy side of theme parks. I am your host, Mr. James H. Carter II, and I'm joined this episode by one Mr. Josh Taylor.
That's me. Hello, my friend.
So is your like sign on like Mario now? Because I feel like that's how you hop on to like every episode.
This
It's
sign?
me. No, I mean like no, your tagline, like whatever. Like you come on, you're like, it's me, I'm Mario.
So I'm like also like a pro wrestling fan, and so anytime I think of it, I think back to like my youth when I was watching WCW. DDP would come and say, "It's me, it's me, it's DDP." So I think
Okay,
about-
all right,
I
that's
think
the
about him.
reference.
Yeah, that's the reference. But also, like he teaches yoga now and helps people get over drug addiction. So honestly, good dude.
One hell of a guy.
Yeah. Didn't know you were gonna get that little tidbit of knowledge in this theme park podcast.
Not at all. I thought we were gonna keep talking about Mario.
Nope.
Anyways, we're not gonna talk
rehabs.
about any of that stuff because this episode is about Halloween time at the Disneyland Resort and opening night of Oogie Boogie Bash, Disneyland's, or actually Disney California Adventures, hard ticket Halloween party that's all sold out. Pretty
Well,
crazy stuff.
Not completely sold out because you made it in somehow.
Well, I purchased a ticket, so it was
Right.
sold out after I purchased the ticket.
When we get to that topic, I have some thoughts and some questions for you. Since you went this year and I did not.
Yes.
I've been in previous years, and as have you, but I wasn't able to get a ticket. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, I'd imagine most people listening probably were not. I feel like the demand is stronger than the supply. So you can act as though, as you know, for the audience member that didn't get a ticket and ask those hard questions that I'm willing to answer for everybody. But anyways, before we get to that, Halloween time at Disneyland, you know, I always say it's my favorite time of year at my favorite place on earth. It's peanut butter and jelly. Halloween time at Disneyland. The only caveat or negative or whatever thing about it is that I think it's too short, and it happens to take place at the busiest time for Creepy Kingdom. So us leisurely can't enjoy as much as I would like the Halloween time at Disneyland. We do get over there quite often, but
this seems more like a you problem than it is a timing issue, right? Like this is a
it's definitely
we cover. Yeah, this is for most people. I feel like 2 months is plenty of Halloween, especially considering that one of the attractions lasts, you know, with Haunted Mansion Holiday, several months.
I'll get to that. Yeah, no, we're gonna talk about how much holiday. I just mean in general, that you know, Disneyland really goes all out for Halloween time, as opposed to Magic Kingdom, which obviously they have Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, a name I don't like, but which, that's where you're gonna get all the Halloween goodness. But as far as like daytime experiences, or not during hard ticket time, they have Main Street with some pumpkins, and those pumpkins are definitely not creepy. The kind of some scarecrow pumpkins and stuff like that. They're pretty friendly. They're not
Yeah.
really that, really. They just barely pass for Halloween vibes. And beyond that, I think that's it inside of Magic Kingdom. I mean, there may be other little Halloween things sprinkled around the resort, but anyways, we're not talking about that. We're talking about Disneyland, because Disneyland really goes all out. Southern California loves Halloween time. There's so many Halloween offerings, and Disneyland knows this and gives it to us tenfold. So much stuff. And we've made an annual tradition of the first day of Halloween time at Disneyland to spend the day at the resort and take it all in and report on it. And, obviously following us on social media, you're going to see this stuff right away. But it's been a few weeks since that date of September 1st. And I've had some time to like really soak it in and get ready to chat about it here on the podcast. So, I mean, let's start off with what you just mentioned before, which of course is Haunted Mansion Holiday. And for those that might not be aware, the Haunted Mansion gets taken over by the Nightmare Before Christmas. I think there's a probably 0.0% chance anyone listening to this doesn't know that, but just in case, there's someone new to the realm of what we're doing. And the thing about this attraction is that it is not a Halloween layover; it is a Christmas layover.
Right.
I guess you would say by default, the Jack and his crew, the citizens of Halloween Town, are Halloween within themselves. But they brought Christmas to the Haunted Mansion. And because of that, there's, I have some mixed feelings about the timing of this. Just as a fan, I know that from the demand for the attraction, I understand why they have it open for 4 months. But I really wish that they would save this until after Halloween. What do you think about that?
Well, the issue is, if it was a Christmas thing, they would have to close the Haunted Mansion on November 1st, right? Like, you can't not have the mansion open on Halloween.
Right.
So they'd have to close it November 1st, which means, and they do an incredible job of flipping the mansion in about 2 weeks.
Yep.
But then you've only got, a month and a half, maybe a little over that, to 2 months or so with this open before closing it again for another 2 weeks.
Yeah, you're talking about like operations and stuff. I'm talking about fandom, like
right,
or like
but
not
I like
fandom,
to,
taking
I like
in
to
the product. Yeah,
but sure, and I agree with you that the original Haunted Mansion feels more classically creepy.
Right.
But as far as a business strategy, what they do makes sense, especially considering that in operations side, right? Even right now, if you were to go on the app right now, I can guarantee the wait time is over an hour.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The demand is there, so I understand that.
And then, once it reopens again as the regular mansion come January, same thing. So it's truly, they've been able to create an attraction that works all year round and is really popular all year round, considering that it opened, like 60 years ago, 50 years ago?
We haven't hit 60 yet, but we're creeping up on
it. We're coming up on it. But that just reminds me, and I think that is something to think about, that this attraction is so popular. And
you talking about Holiday or regular Haunted Mansion?
Holiday.
Okay.
And the same thing with really any kind of overlay for Christmas or Halloween, that I think if they were going to try and maximize the potential that they should try and, add more attractions, because I think this is the only one currently still running that has a Halloween overlay. They used to have Ghost Galaxy
Right.
for Space Mountain. I would love to see more Halloween overlays throughout the park, and hopefully in that way, like, it would pull away from some of these long lines that we get, for Haunted Mansion Holiday.
Maybe. I feel like this is a rabbit hole conversation.
It is. Here's what I love. This is just what I want. This is me being the fan that I am.
Okay.
I would love for the Storybook Land canal boats to get a Halloween overlay and then to have a
Okay.
Christmas overlay. I just want tiny houses with tiny decorations,
All right.
and to go on a little boat and like be told about all the ways that the various creatures of Storybook Land celebrate Halloween. That's all I want.
That's fun. I love that. That's fun. How wholesome. That's so wholesome. I love it.
I'm such a wholesome dude.
That's great. But back to Haunted Mansion Holiday, I will just conclude my I think whatever point I was getting at was said. I said I have mixed feelings about it. I think that Nightmare Before Christmas warrants its own attraction that's open year round. I think that one major thing that's missing from Haunted Mansion Holiday would be the music from A Nightmare Before Christmas, which is pretty iconic. So I think it warrants it. So all that being said, I wrote it, this year as its new offering, which is primarily usually the same thing with very minor adjustments. But there was something about it this year, or I don't know what it was. It might have been the fact that I wrote it 5 times in a row. But I started really taking in all the little details, particularly the audio details that it's kind of easy to take for granted. Now we have the narration, our holiday ghost host, if you will,
Right.
Corey Burton does an excellent job doing it. But there's something about when you just like forget about the outside world and you're in the stretching room, listening to Corey Burton do this, and the glass breaks and it has that sound effect of it's like supposed to be mirrors breaking.
Yeah.
And you listen to this narration, which is a play off of 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, which of course is what Nightmare Before Christmas, the book, was based upon. But
Right.
that's not really carried over in the film. The whole Nightmare 'Twas the Night Before Christmas poem aspect of it, unless I'm totally off on that. But would you agree that's not really represented in the film?
No, it's definitely inspired by the poem, right? Like that's
Right.
kind of where it comes from.
But he's literally doing a play on 'Twas the Night Before Christmas in the stretching room.
Yeah.
Which I never really like thought about. It just seemed so like familiar and natural. But this was like the first time I realized like, oh, like this is like literally, I mean, this is probably the book that he's reading, like the Tim Burton's book, but that inspired the film. I guess I should look into that. But it all just kind of hit me while I was like maybe my 4th or 5th time going through it, and it was. I was just loving like creepifying Christmas. I usually don't like celebrating Christmas before Halloween at all, but I definitely love celebrating
none of us do.
I know, but that's the pet peeve I was getting at the beginning that I went off on a tangent. But but I think like naturally there's lots of creepy and dark elements of Christmas lore. You don't have to like force it in there. I think it actually is already there. But this just really added to it. And this is like the 23rd or 22nd year of this overlay.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's been exactly the same thing each time in the stretching room. But I feel like I just really took it in this year. I don't know why. Have you actually been on this yet? I don't because you weren't with me when I went.
No, I haven't been on it because the line has been so incredibly long.
Yeah.
And I haven't been actually that often to Disneyland. I need to be going more often. But
Yeah, it's a pretty
like
cool
we were,
place. Check it out.
you know what? I should try and check it out. But like we were saying before, this month in October, September and October are always so busy for us with so many other
Yeah.
things that it just becomes difficult to get to the park as often as I'd like to.
Yeah, no, it's tough. It's tough for sure. But and in fact, opening night or opening day or whatever it was my intention to go on it at night, maybe after 8 p.m. But the line was very long. But what was crazy, something I'd never seen before, was the lightning lane line was over an hour. That line extended all the way from the the gates of Haunted Mansion all the way back to almost to Hungry Bear.
Dang.
And I was like, wow, like if you paid Lightning Lane and you have to wait that long, it was nuts. So with that long of a line, my strategy was, I'm just gonna wait until almost midnight and then hop in line. So then, like, I mean, however long it is, at least like I'm not wasting my time standing in line. And I just, did other stuff because we were on a mission to catch as much content as possible, the Halloween stuff, so I didn't want to just like spend 2 hours standing in line. So I got in there like 11:50 or something like that. And after waiting like 40 minutes, the ride broke down. So I didn't even get to go on it.
Oh no.
So I went back 2 days later and I rope dropped, which I could count on my hands how many times I've rope dropped Disneyland. Probably one hand if I really thought about it. But, I rope dropped because it was Labor Day weekend. It was Sunday, and I was like, I gotta get on Haunted Mansion Holiday, and I gotta get on it multiple times. So, in order to do that, you got to rope drop. So, I ended up getting on it 5 times in about 2 hours. Just
That's pretty good.
back to back. Yeah,
considering it can get up to like an hour and a half line normally.
Yeah. So yeah, I would say I probably didn't wait. Obviously, do the math, didn't wait too long.
Right.
So yeah, pretty cool there. The 2 things to mention here about the experience, besides my own, realizing how awesome the narration is for the first time. I guess I don't know why it really hit me this year, but it did. Is every year they have a new gingerbread house, and that's always the highlight. I always look forward to see what they're gonna do. And I think maybe there had been some images of it online. I don't even know. Probably, but on Sunday, yeah, there was definitely images of it online. But I avoided it. I like to see it firsthand, actually on the attraction. But it's so hard to describe it. But I believe they had the character's name was Von Ginger, and she had the house around her, and she had these like just very Tim Burton eyes and mouth, looked like it was like hand drawn. And it was like such a simple effect because she just kind of sits there and she's smiling, and then like her smile lights up. And I was like, so just like, I loved it so much. It just looks so cool. And it's one of those moments where I was just like, I love when the macabre meets the whimsical. It's like literally my favorite thing on earth. It's the basis of Creepy Kingdom, and the Imagineers create so much things in that realm that are so awesome.
Yeah.
And it's easy to like especially with Haunted Mansion Holiday, when so much of it is exactly the same every year, to just kind of like not expect to be blown away by anything, I guess, because you take it in so much, if you're a local or if you just visit the park annually on Halloween. But I loved it. I loved it so much. Have you seen this gingerbread house?
I've seen it. I have not, obviously, as previously discussed, not seen it in person yet this year. But it is a highlight, like the obvious change that they do for it every year. It's big, it's elaborate. They fill the whole room with gingerbread smell, which is always
Yeah, that's so much fun.
pleasant. Yeah, I enjoy it. Um, I like when they're able to kind of change things year to year, especially for locals. It brings people back. Having that element, has really made to me, I think, the Haunted Mansion Holiday a repeatable attraction. Even though going back to talking about the stretching room, it has changed over time because of
Mm.
projection mapping and things like that have made it better. They've plussed it.
Yeah, I'm talking about the audio though,
Oh yeah,
specifically.
the audio is the same, but I mean like the actual stretching room, how it looks has changed. Or like a few years ago they added Sally, but the gingerbread house is always different every year. It's always
Mhm.
very elaborate, and so it is a reason to go back, and I enjoyed that element. And plus, they add little different things here and there, like the list of people on the names on the list in the attic and things like that. So there's little nuances that I like to kind of pick out or find. It's like, oh, that's new this year. But the
Yeah,
gingerbread house always stands out.
well, one last thing on the gingerbread house is that I wish they made some kind of merchandise for for the designs that they do each year. I feel like they probably do pins, but I'm not a pin collector, so I don't
Yeah,
know.
it would actually be great if they just did a gingerbread, like you could buy like those like sort of half built gingerbread house
Yeah.
kits. If they just did one of those for the Haunted Mansion, like this kind of like New Orleans square
Okay. Yeah, that could be
classic.
fun.
I think that would be like a fun way to celebrate. I guess any holiday, like, but specifically Christmas, I guess would have that for. But
Mhm.
yeah, this isn't a Christmas podcast, so
No, it's not. It's fine. But anyway, um, good stuff. I love Von Ginger. I mean, it's original character, right? I mean, that's not a
yeah,
character for Nightmare Before Christmas. So I love they're just like adding and building on to this world.
yeah. The lore is ever expanding.
So good stuff. But Spezzy, speaking of little additions and nuances, there, segueing on, there is something else new inside Haunted Mansion Holiday this year, and there is a tribute to Rolly Crump in the attic, which was pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome that that they did this. It doesn't really have anything to do with Haunted Mansion Holiday at all, but it in the attic they have a recreation of the Candleman figure that can be seen in the concept art of Museum of the Weird, which Raleigh Crump designed. And unfortunately, Raleigh passed away earlier this year. So this is probably the first chance that they had to add a tribute to him inside of the mansion. So I'm hoping that this is not just for Haunted Mansion Holiday, and that this is something that will be there forever.
It would be great. Yeah. I mean,
Um,
there are things that are in the mansion that have been there forever that are Rolly Crump signature things. The wallpaper,
mhm.
the grandfather clock in the hallway. Like, there's certain elements that moved from the Museum of the Weird into this, but the museum was supposed to be a part of the mansion initially. For those who don't know, but
Yeah, again,
you
I
know,
glossed over that, but
yeah, the Haunted Mansion had so many changes over the years before it ever opened that the Museum of the Weird and the Candleman never fully made it. So it's cool to see it now in there. Um, and yeah, he passed away mid-March of 2023. So this is a great time to you know give tribute to him more than what's already in the park.
no, for sure, for sure. So that was unexpected. Um, and that particularly, and the Candleman is such a cool looking thing. I actually wish that it was more prominent, and it's kind of buried back on the left side, and I kind of feel like it's near where the shadow piano player is, but you haven't been on it, so you can't back me up or help
I
me figure
cannot.
that out.
No.
So, you know, very cool, very happy that that's there. Hope that it continues to stay there, which I'd imagine it would. And yeah, Candleman lives on.
Right.
So yeah, so let's go ahead.
I mean, you already talked a bit about like the kind of opening night, the lightning lane, and how busy it's gotten. But like the other thing too is like the Jack and Sally meet kind of back in that area,
Hmm.
back in New Orleans Square. They always have a huge line as well. Do you think that those characters should be more permanent than they are?
Like they should have a Jack and Sally meet and greet when Haunted Mansion Holiday is not around. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, yeah, I think there's demand for them. I think
yeah.
I don't think anyone would mind. I do feel like where they have the photo op is like whack, not whack, but it just like not
It's not
operationally making too
prominent.
much sense. Like
No.
it's like back between I forget the names of those stores, but what is it? There's the Pieces of Eight is the Pirates store, and then what's the Haunted Mansion
I
store?
I forget, but basically the first two stores as you enter New Orleans Square from the Adventureland side.
Yeah, there's a
Um,
nice little back alley there. I took a photo there that night, where Jack and Sally usually do because they have a little Nightmare for Christmas background. But but that the line for them is essentially in front of the store.
yeah.
You know, so they have like switchbacks, like a temporary switchbacks, like in front of the store because I mean that line could go crazy. I mean, I don't really know where else it could go. So, and especially with this new construction that they're doing, which we'll talk about in a future episode, there's even less places for Jack and Sally to go.
Right.
So,
Well, yeah, and that's I guess another thing too, right? Like with the construction and the changes with New Orleans Square, not just the Haunted Mansion edition, but also the Princess and the Frogification of New Orleans
wow,
Square.
is the new
Um,
Red Hot Chili Peppers album?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Uh, the dream of Californication. But
Perfect.
there's not a lot of space for them to meet. But I do think that if you kept that space, you could also do, and I know that you would love this, have a kind of a switch. So like, certain hours of the day you can meet Jack and Sally, and then certain hours of the day you can meet Dr. Facilier in
Mhm.
that same area. So it's kind of a villain space
Yeah,
or
or just a
darker
dark.
space,
Yeah.
and be able to still have because Dr. Facilier, if rumors are correct, will not be a major part of the attraction. Although that's a rumor, I don't know that for a fact, so I'm not saying
It's
that's a fact.
purely speculation, but
Purely speculation.
he does like at times. I definitely see him roaming around New Orleans
Yeah,
Square.
and the character is very popular, so I feel
Mm.
like him being back in that area would work, and be able to switch back between Jack and Sally would allow for people to go on break as well. I think from an operations business standpoint, if you can't tell.
I guess so. Are you getting a cut of park revenue here?
I will, yeah, exactly. Whatever Dr. Facilier makes, and what Jack and Sally make in that area, we're actually going to start charging as if it's Times Square. So
Oh,
$5 for
yeah.
photos and
You got to
signatures
be
back
tipped.
there.
Yeah.
So if you want to see the Shadow Man, $5, please.
But it's afterwards. You have to you have to tip them afterwards, and if you don't, they'll follow you around and
Right, exactly.
harass you. That sounds like a good park experience. I mean, it would be on brand for Dr. Facilier at least.
Right, exactly. Just swindling you in New Orleans Square. It's fine.
Right on. That's how. Yeah, it's like we're not going to pay any hourly wages. You're going to need to, hustle our guests.
Right.
They want a real authentic experience. Anywho, so I guess we can move on from that stuff because few definitely a few more things to cover for Halloween time. We have the characters' costumes this year. I mentioned when we were in the park that I think last year's was some of my favorite because the theme was that they made their own costumes, like and their skills of costume making was amateurish to say the least, and I loved it. Like it was such a cool idea. Usually they have a new outfit every year or type, similar theme or something like that. This one is more of a orange and emerald green are the prominent colors, and just little hints of Halloween imagery in there. Some of them, I think Minnie has a bat bow. There's spider webs. For some reason, Goofy. Not for some reason, but he kind of seems like it's like a court jester outfit. I don't know what that's to do with Halloween, but
I think it's like a scarecrow outfit. I think.
Oh, that probably makes more sense than a court jester.
I mean,
there's no hay though.
the jester also makes sense for Goofy, but I feel like it's supposed to be some sort of scarecrow type thing.
But it's kind of like formal Halloween wear,
Yeah.
And we were saying maybe that has to do with it's a variation on their the 100th outfits, which were very formal.
I think so. I think this is a good mix of both.
So I am still doing a full analysis of what my favorite is, but I do think that it's Donald's, because he's got devil horns and fangs. He's a devil vampire. Come on. That's
I mean, it is good. It is good. I will say though, I'm still on the side of Clarabelle.
She's my second, actually. Clarabelle is like, she really snuck up on there and could put herself in the running there.
Yeah, and actually, this is an exclusive. Yeah, exactly. So, I said this on Modern Mouse on the Patreon. Go visit me over there if you'd like. But Clarabelle Cow actually predates Mickey Mouse. So, of the characters that all meet and greet in the main square of Disneyland, Clarabelle Cow is the oldest.
Wow. And for our listeners that don't know, Josh is a Disney historian.
It's true. I've been named a Disney historian by hate commenters online. So
what an insult.
Yeah. But yeah, Clarabelle Cow debuted in 1927 in the very first Oswald the Lucky Rabbit short.
Wow.
And so predates Mickey Mouse by, I believe, 2 years.
Interesting. I feel like I don't see Clarabelle very often in Disneyland. I see her in Buena Vista Street, but
which makes sense because that's where Oswald meets.
Right, and that it's that time period. So yeah, that totally makes sense. But I feel like Angie's got an ice cream shop. But I don't think I just realized I don't even remember last time I saw her in Disneyland before this Halloween time.
Speaking of which, if you know the cow and like the cow can talk to you, are you comfortable enough with eating the ice cream from that cow?
Wow, that's a well, I mean, if she's distributing it, so I guess so. It's not like against her will or anything. Like she's just trying to make a dime.
These are the horrors that I think about. You're thinking about the creepy, weird. I'm thinking about the horrors of would I drink from a cow that could talk to me?
Well, I mean, she's not actually talking, so there's that layer of your complexity.
At least not in person. Luckily,
right? That's what I'm saying. Yeah, so maybe that helps eat her ice cream a little easier. Right, she doesn't talk to you. But she was a great meet and greet in her Halloween costume. She was a lot of fun. She's pretty sassy. I mean, I used to think Daisy was the sassiest, but Clarabelle can hang with him.
Yeah, no, it's the old flapper lady that's in her,
No, for sure. Yeah. But anywho, any other thoughts on the characters before we move on?
You know, uh, I'm a
For
big fan
costumes, I mean.
of I'm a big fan of the characters in their Halloween costumes. I think that they typically look better, and this is actually just a general statement for Disneyland as a whole. Um, the characters, the costuming, the decorations, everything, they go all out for Halloween. I think more so, and it's better than the Christmas stuff that they do. Again, that doesn't say the East Coast. Like, I think that Walt Disney World could really use a bump, but as far as Disneyland in Southern California, Halloween costumes, two thumbs up for me.
Yeah, no, it's great. And I mean, whether I love them or just think they're okay, I love that they're in them. So I'm definitely, I'd rather have them than not, for
And I think that
sure.
that's because locals go so often. It's nice to see them have different costume changes, even from Disneyland over to DCA. On a normal
Yeah, yeah,
day, they're going to be different. So, and even we were there the other night at California Adventure, and we noticed that the characters were in Halloween costume there, but they're also Halloween costumes that fit the 1920s feel of Buena Vista Street.
right.
There's two different costumes going on for Halloween between the two different parks, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I actually, not to deep dive on this, but I love Buena Vista Street, and I love how much they just want to keep the continuity of the theme no matter what they incorporate into it.
Yeah.
And try to keep it in this time period. I like the idea of that. We were like walking through time portals or something. And that Main Street has that feel somewhat. I mean, mostly obviously with its the citizens and things like that, but then they'll have just random Disney characters hanging out there, like Cruella, obviously, who I love, and stuff like that. But she's not really dressed in the turn of the century attire or anything
Right.
like that. But they seem to really take that extra care with that theming over at Buena Vista Street for some reason, and I'm all about it.
I totally agree. Yeah, it fits the immersion.
Hmm. Good stuff. Let's see. Let's talk about Halloween Screams, their Halloween
Ooh.
fireworks show. Uh, at this point, I think it's only on Friday, Saturday, and Sundays that these fireworks, if I'm not
Yes.
mistaken. And
Yes.
then the other days of the week, it's projections. But this is such a great offering that it's so great to have it as part of a regular park day and not part of a hard ticket. Not to keep comparing this to Walt Disney World, but Magic Kingdom, you're only going to get their version of the show during their Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party. Of course, they debuted that incredible Jack Skellington puppet to go along with the narration at Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party. So, we'll give them props for that. but that, but I love that this offering is there as just for regular, park guests. There's a few moments in there that really just, melt my black heart. Of course, seeing Zero fly, taking over the Tinkerbell, and I guess isn't Baymax flying now in the recent
I mean,
fireworks
not
show?
in the Halloween show,
No, I
but
mean in the whatever the show is that some of the
the
dogs
previous
are.
show, which I don't know if they'll have that one return. So I
Yeah,
wouldn't,
yeah, we don't know. Yeah, they haven't said that, but
um,
it was for the 100th. Um,
yeah,
but I mean, Tinkerbell flying is that's like classic Disneyland there. The sliding down the rope from the Matterhorn to the castle.
right.
I guess they decided to stop risking human beings' lives for entertainment there, but but now we have Zero doing it, so yay.
I mean, Zero is cute going across, and I am a big fan. I'm a big fan of the show in general. I think that it adds a lot to the Halloween festivities, and it fits like what you were saying. It's still whimsical, but a little
Mhm.
bit creepy. Um, it hits all the right notes. I really love this show.
I do. I think there's some parts of it that get a little too silly. uh, for my taste. I think the balance is a little off somewhat there, but there's just moments of the show that are just so incredible.
Yeah.
One that comes to mind is the part where they decided to include the song Hellfire from the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Right.
They don't actually sing the lyrics.
Of course
So you have
not. No.
so you have to know the song. But while the song's going, they have all these projections of fire all over the place.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, wow, they literally are bringing hell. Like, like that's such a creepy moment. But without having the lyrics, anyone that doesn't know what it is won't, be all offended if they're sensitive about stuff like that. So it's kind of like a wink and a nod to the people in the know. And plus that song is so just dark and evil, and not like, and even like the subject matter of that song is like dark and twisted, like, like it's not like it's just, it's a lot.
It is. So one thing that I wanted to say about this, because I actually was there Tuesday night to watch the show on a non-firework night,
Hmm.
and uh, I maybe I'm in a minority here, but I kind of prefer the show as just a projection show, not as a fireworks show anymore. And I know that I miss out on Zero flying over the castle, and I know I miss out on the fireworks, but seeing the projection show at Small World, the entire facade, a giant burning flame, um, is so crazy cool. It looks so amazing, the visual image, and then like,
Hmm.
Jack is the host of it. So you get to see Jack Skellington pop up in front of like this great smoky green that's like taken over the entire Small World facade. I just love the way that the show works when it's just a projection show at Small World, especially since the crowds don't go over there. Um, so if you're listening to this, please don't go over there.
Don't go.
Don't take my advice, because I want to keep it to myself over there.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't know.
but I mean, like, I can easily stand front row, nobody standing in front of me, and be able to enjoy the whole show at Small World. And so the projections really work for me, especially for this Hellfire piece.
Yeah, I've never watched Halloween screens from over there, so I'm gonna put that on my list. You had sent me a photo from over there, and I was like, yeah, it reminded me that I need to get over there
Yeah,
and take all that in.
yeah.
But
If you're there on a weekday, I think that's the better place
yeah,
to see the
yeah,
show.
no, for sure, for during a weekday, which is normally when when I'm there. But
Right.
I did want to say that I think the fireworks element of it really works well with the last part of it, which is where Jack instructs everybody to scream. So he goes,
Hmm.
"Everybody scream!" But then everyone screams, and then the pyrotechnics are triggered by the same time that everybody screams. It's such a great, like, communal awesome moment.
It is
like
cool.
like I just, every time I'm there screaming along with everyone else, you're like, this is Disney magic right here. Disney dark magic.
We're
But
all screaming in fear.
and I love it. And yeah, and it's interesting, like I said, I mean, it's hosted by Jack, all this stuff, but it's not part of the hard ticket, which the hard ticket event is themed to Nightmare for Christmas,
Right.
where, and the attraction and the fireworks show is not in that park. So very interesting.
I
Yeah.
was gonna ask you. I was gonna ask you this. I guess we'll get to it when we get to Oogie Boogie Bash. But just think of it in the back of your head for now. But like, do you think that it would be better to have more nights of Oogie Boogie Bash, which again, operations would be difficult because you're basically closing down an entire park at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. or whatever, and then be able to do a completely different fireworks show over there, exclusive for Oogie Boogie Bash, or um, does that not work?
have a fireworks show at DCA? Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Well,
Just
they
because,
don't have fireworks at DCA now, right? So how would they even do that?
well, I guess you would have it as part of World of Color. So it
Oh,
would
okay.
be, I guess, not just fireworks, but then, you'd have
Projections.
projections
Yeah,
on the water and stuff like that.
yeah. So what is the question you asked me? What does that have to do with more nights of the event?
Well, I'm just thinking, like, in general, right? We're talking about the fireworks um, being so popular, and Oogie Boogie Bash, like, being also more Nightmare Before Christmas oriented.
Right.
Would it be in the best interest to do more of a Nightmare Before Christmas show at DCA and maybe more of a general Halloween show, like completely switch up the Halloween show?
Okay.
Because they've been doing Halloween Scream for a number of years
Right.
at Disneyland. To change it up to do something different that's not necessarily so Nightmare Before Christmas heavy.
I got it. Not hosted by Jack. All that stuff.
Right.
I mean, I think that they should thematically, but
But that,
yeah,
that goes along with my question of, if we have more Oogie Boogie nights, you're closing down that park. And so, um, you know, there's just a whole operations type of thing to talk about with that. But
sure.
that's probably for a
I
different time.
Yeah, I have a few thoughts on that, on just the amount of dates they have, but I think they should. I think that's something that is missing from Oogie Boogie Bash. I mean, if you really think about it, it's not really that Nightmare Before Christmas themed at all. Beyond it being called
No.
Oogie Boogie Bash, they're really all the Nightmare Before Christmas stuff is at Disneyland, so it's just such a cool name, Oogie Boogie Bash. It's like,
Yeah.
but I don't know. But wrapping up what's happening at Disneyland, there's such a craze for these popcorn buckets, and I fall victim to them myself. Admittedly, I don't go crazy for every merchandise thing that comes around, but some of these popcorn buckets really speak to um like I don't know, if there's like mind control and like in the eyes of the popcorn bucket or something, that are just like, you must have this, you need this. Just like, okay, you're right.
Who do you think?
$30, take it.
Do you think it is because of the high demand that makes you want to get one more? Like, if there wasn't a giant line, would you still want one?
Me personally, no. Because I said I'm not like, I gotta stand in line and wait to buy stuff kind of guy. Like, I'm not actually like super into like collectibles and stuff. I have to get stuff. I have to be really specific things that I really want. But I mean, every other month or whatever, there's something that's released in the parks on both coasts that everyone's got to have. I feel the short
Right.
supply, high demand. Then they have all the eBay flippers come in. I have like zero tolerance for that. But there's something about the popcorn buckets, not just Halloween ones, but just the ones that they've been putting out, particularly the ones that are like um, um, cars or automobiles. Like, because I also bought the Mr. Toad one, that was out right before Halloween.
Right.
And it has like, it's pretty big, and it's got like, working wheels. And I'm like, dude, this is such a cool toy. I mean, there's no Mr. Toad car toy that I've ever seen ever. So now here's an example of it. And then the one that also had to have, which was the mayor of Halloween Town's car. Not
Yeah.
only does it roll, it lights up.
Its
It
head
seems
spins
like
too, doesn't it?
and its head spins too. Like it's such just like, this is such a cool thing to have. I also bought the Hatbox Ghost one that they released when the Haunted Mansion movie came out. When that one lights up, that
And
one
you're a collector at this point.
we have, we have like a handful of these buckets. I would say that is the thing that I collect out of Disney merchandise.
Yeah.
Are these buckets and dishware. Those two things are that. But yeah, I believe that the mayor's car sold out very fast, and I haven't seen it being replenished at all or come back.
I mean, those long lines come in, and you always inevitably see pictures online from people who have 5 of them across their shoulder as they're
Yeah.
leaving the park at 10 a.m. or whatever. Um, I'm not a fan. I've never jumped on board the popcorn bucket thing, but I get it. I get why people want them, and they have made them better over time. Like you're saying, I think
Yes.
the vehicles make sense because they roll. They kind of do become a toy. They're like the most expensive Happy Meal toy you could ever get. Um, but like the original kind of standard popcorn buckets that you used to be able to get, that was like, I mean, not that long time ago, but like just the Mickey that's standing there, that's like, you fill the back, like his back or whatever, with
Yeah, yeah.
popcorn or something. Like, those aren't nearly as interesting as the ones that can be on wheels or light up or whatever. So they are, um, more appealing as a collectible to me than they have been in previous years. But yeah,
For sure. But
not for me.
before that kind of, the ones you're talking about that are just, and I always said those look like preschool toys or something.
Right.
There's not too much detail to them. But before those, they actually had some other detailed ones. Like I have one that's Zero's doghouse,
Okay.
that had a lot more detail to it. So I think they were just kind of fluctuating with them. I'm glad they're making them more detailed and awesome again.
Right.
But I guess it doesn't really matter because whatever it is, everyone's going to buy it, and
Exactly.
whatever. All right, let's see here. Let's kind of hop over to DCA since we're running a little long on this side of the
Sure.
and let's talk about Monster Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout Monsters After Dark. I don't know. Is that the full title of the attraction?
I think it's drop the Mission Breakout part. I think it's just Guardians of the
Okay.
Galaxy Monsters
That would
After
make
Dark.
sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, you and I opening day went there, and we had some Disney magic thrown at us. Might as well worth mentioning it.
Yeah.
Where we were just walking down Buena Vista Street, and we were not going there, I believe, to Monsters After Dark.
Yeah, we had no plan to go to Monsters After Dark at all that night.
Yeah,
We were just
you're
gonna
right.
eat some food.
Yeah, that was on our agenda. And two people or this guy just stopped both of us, like pointed us out of the crowd. Was it a guy or a woman? I don't know. They were both together. I don't know who stopped us, but either way, they're like, "Hey, do you want Monsters After Dark fast passes?" Which we know they're talking about lightning lanes. And I was like, sure. And then I was thinking, how would they give it to us? Their lightning lanes, and they screenshotted their lightning lane thing, and then I had to give him the stranger my phone number, and they texted it to us. Now I don't know.
Have you gotten a weird phone call or like some
maybe I don't
text
know.
messages or something that you didn't sign up for?
It's possible. I do have my phone set up for people not in my contacts to not get through my notifications, but maybe I'm missing out on weird.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Either way, I don't know if that's allowed, officially. I don't know if we're saying something we broke the rules. So, I mean, somebody paid for them. I mean, I'd imagine because they'll only be used once, right? So I can't see how that would be not allowed.
Right.
But who do I know? Anyways, we used them, so
no one knew. No one asked us anything.
No. So that was my first time doing Monsters After Dark because, again, that's a queue usually with a very long line. And that opened with the attraction. I think the first year of the attraction during Halloween time, they had that going there. So that's how long I haven't done it. But oh my God, I loved it so much. I was so giddy and just so happy. And I just how creepy it is. I love that it actually continues the story after what happens on Mission Breakout. I thought that was really cool. I didn't realize how in depth it was, it really, because during the day you have the daytime experience, but it really sets up that if you go back to it at night, here's what happens there later that night.
Right.
And I kind of wish they would do that all the time, not just for Halloween. I kind of, maybe that's just my personal wish, but I think that would be cool all the time. I don't know how the general public would react to it, but I really think the coolest thing about it was that the music, because normally we're thinking of like 70s pop songs to be
And now it's like heavy metal.
It's not even just heavy metal. Like, it's not like actual like heavy metal. Like, it sounds like a metal band or something. It sounds like a Broadway version of a heavy metal song or something.
Yeah.
But
it's Disney's version of dark rock music, right?
Right. But it just works so well. And I don't remember the words. I just remember singing "Monsters After Dark." And just actually what's happening in the attraction, it's great. Guardians of the Galaxy as a franchise, obviously awesome. Characters are great, all that fun stuff. Mission Breakout is fun to go on, but all that being said, I'd wish that it was still Tower of Terror. But this is like a good close to getting that as possible as Monsters After Dark.
Right.
So that's what I have to say about it. What do you have to say about it?
As a Guardians of the Galaxy fan, I will say that I love the addition of Monsters After Dark. I agree with you that maybe not just Monsters After Dark, but I think that in general they could have multiple overlays since it's mostly video.
Right. They could, everything that's changed is video based, right? So I mean,
right. So the storylines could continue on in a variety of different ways throughout the year, especially since it was last year that they brought up the Christmas special on Disney Plus, and so they could have a tie-in with the Christmas special, and have like Kevin Bacon appear on the ride somewhere or something like that. I think that it's an attraction that is extremely appealing and to a darker crowd, even though it's no longer the Tower of Terror.
Sure.
And the Monsters After Dark version of it, I think really works. I really enjoy it. I kind of wish that Avengers Campus would do more dark stuff during this time of year because, like, man, they have so many great characters. Like, if they had something where Loki took over with like a show, like a show in the afternoon or something, or like bring back Werewolf by Night and be able to have more meet and greets with that character. Like, I would love to see more of that at DCA. Obviously, you don't want to be too scary. I get that. But it feels like Avengers Campus of any place at DCA is right for a little bit scarier stuff. The zombies, obviously, I'd love to bring those back.
Yeah. Zombies wasn't during Oogie Boogie Bash, or was it? Oh wait, no, it was, but it wasn't until What If aired, so I missed it.
Right, it was very late in the year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But they did have Werewolf by Night during regular park hours, not during Oogie Boogie times. But that was like the last 2 weeks of Halloween or whatever, because that's when that came out. So that was kind of cool. But I mean, I guess it could be scary if you're scared of werewolves, but that experience, but it wasn't, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that's a whole other topic, I guess, what they could be doing with Avengers Campus. But either way, I'm glad that they have this Monsters After Dark thing.
I like it. I enjoy it. I think that Avengers Campus, at least with this attraction, they do a good job. And then Buena Vista Street, like we were saying before, is amazing for Halloween. So
yeah, and it's one of my favorite things on there is they have this concept art of Night on Bald Mountain of Chernabog from Fantasia. Now, I don't think it's like actually concept art, but it looks like concept art that's in display in one of the windows. I'm not sure, like even like what that's supposed to be in the Buena Vista Street story or whatever. Like why they have this stuff there.
Is it the ink and paint store? I feel like that's one of the
Yeah, I
names of the
think
stores
that
there.
might have been what it is. So yeah, it's basically concept art in ink and paint. I mean, I love it's such a great touch that they don't have to do. Also, there's a little bit of Headless Horseman art in there as well, but it's really mostly Chernabog stuff in there.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, if you want to follow a storyline, is the beginnings of Fantasia, right? Like it's pre-production, very pre-production, because this is supposed to be when Walt Disney first went to Hollywood. But so it's not. I guess it also works is that it's not like finished pieces of art or something, because Fantasia doesn't exist in this timeline.
Yeah, and I think all the other like window displays and stuff that when we were there, we saw like a lot of like Mickey and the ghosts and things like that. Pretty much, again, going back to the idea that Buena Vista Street tries to keep everything, kind of World War II or previous, like
Mm-hmm.
like 20s, 30s, and 40s. So there's no representation of villains and scary characters outside of that time period.
Right.
The Headless Horseman, is kind of that's like the late 40s. That's kind of the last villain that you'll see in that area. So you're not gonna
Yeah,
end
you're
up
right. I
with
never thought about that. I always wondered why Headless Horseman was there. I never really got it, but you've actually connected the dots for me, Josh.
Well, if you the history, being a Disney historian as I am,
That's why
if you start at the beginning of Buena Vista Street and go to the end of Buena Vista Street, it's supposed to tell a story over the period, like architecturally, over a period of time. So by the time you get into Hollywood land, it's kind of the 40s, 50s. So
wow.
where
I
they
didn't even
leave the
realize
Headless Horseman.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it starts like in 1920 or 1921 and goes down. I don't know the exact dates, but as you go down Buena Vista Street, you're supposed to be walking through time.
I definitely didn't know that. That's awesome. I feel like we could just do a deep dive on Buena Vista Street sometimes, because it's such a cool.
That is cool.
It's like, I mean, they really went extra over it. They probably could have delivered a quarter of it, and everyone would be fine, as opposed to what was there before. but wow, that's so cool. I love it. What else is going there? I mean, I love their like the bat decor, the displays of Mickey and the ghouls from the black and white card shorts,
right?
That really aren't we really don't see those represented much of anywhere besides the skeletons.
Yeah, for the most part.
So it's cool. It's something that, I mean, they've had those going on for a few years now, but the more it's just like, oh yeah, that looks cool. But the more I started thinking about it, it's like, oh, this is actually very on theme. I just thought it looks cool because I obviously love that stuff. I was just happy to see it.
Right.
So yeah, and also there's a few other things going on there for Halloween time in Cars Land. I'm sorry, well, not in DCA. They have Cars Land is really super creepy and dark and spooky, and again, like that's one of those areas that are like, wow, you really didn't have to go this hard to make this like super spooky. But it's not even like a franchise that I would think that would even lend itself to Halloween. But I definitely love how hard they go over in Cars Land for Halloween.
Here's one that I think that maybe you don't have the answer to, because I don't know how familiar you are with the Cars franchise. But there's
probably not much.
Well, there's the Ghost Light short, Mater and the Ghost Light.
Right.
I think like back kind of like maybe a few years after they released the first Cars movie, they had all these different Cars shorts.
Right.
But there's no representation of the Ghost Light short anywhere. And I wonder if there's an overlay possibility for Radiator Springs Racers to feature the Ghost Light in any way. Or I know that they do song, like kind of more spooky songs at the other attractions, the smaller attractions at Cars Land. But is there something that you think could work for Radiator Springs Racers? Would it just be, going through Radiator Springs where it's all like decorated inside and whatnot?
That would be cool. I can't say that I am so into the Cars franchise that I could actually conceptually come up with what would work on those indoor dark ride scenes for Halloween. But I think that it'd be cool if they actually extended the decorations that are in the outside of the street into the inside of the attraction.
Right.
Because that's actually
I think that the thing about Cars Land is it's so well decorated, and the other attractions do such a good job with the musical overlays that it's a bit of a shame that the main attraction of that land, Radiator Springs Racers, has nothing to offer thematically with the overlay.
Yeah, it's probably because I almost never want to take it down because it always has a long wait. That's probably a part of it. But yeah, the thing I was going to say, which is weird or weird or fun or whatever, is I can't think of too many attractions where like you go into a space that is represented outside of the attraction that you could walk through. So it's supposed to be that you're back where you were before. Like it's got to be only Radiator Springs Racers, right?
Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing. Yeah.
And so with that, I'm saying it would be cool if they actually made it like decorated like it is, so to keep that illusion going. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess maybe that's what it is. It feels kind of like you need to keep the illusion of what you just walked in from. I don't know,
but that's just wishful thinking.
All right, we got an incredible two-parter episode coming your way.
What?
Because we told you all about Disneyland Halloween time, but coming up next on our next episode, we're going to talk about Oogie Boogie Bash opening night.
Sounds like fun.
Oh my God, you got to listen to the next episode, you guys.
I'm listening already.
All right, listen to it. All right, so we're about to watch this show. What's it called again?
It's right there, Music Monsters and Mayhem.
I know it's backwards in the camera. I can't read backwards.
Right, also like...
There we go.
It's called Music Monsters and Mayhem.
There we go. We're going to watch this show. So until next time, we're closing the gates.
Thank you for watching, and thank you to our sponsors and Patreon producers for making this video possible. Hit the subscribe button so the creepy fun never has to end. This is Hannah reminding you to keep it creepy.